developing from deep sea mining. According to the SDFR, explained that the U.S. ECS contains many rare earth minerals, and NLAA writes that mining these areas for them would be highly profitable. Because brought up the New York Times explained that new advances are making it more feasible. MIT predicts that deep sea mining will be widespread by 2035. Extraction will happen with or without accession, because Congress's 19DC that Act authorizes companies to exploit resources on the continental shelf well beyond the depth of 650 feet. As a result, Groves explains that companies will have the legal certainty to mine in either world. The only difference is that under UNCLOS Article 82, most of our taxes are redistributed to landlocked developing countries in the form of royalties. President Tom Cobb reports that resources in the U.S. OCS are worth at least $6.5 trillion, and thus Groves explains that U.S. royalties will quickly amount to billions of dollars. This aid is beneficial to the developing world for two reasons. First, Stockholm, the Canadian Journal, explains that aid decreases corruption because it leads to increased monitoring of recipient governments and offers countries an incentive to crack down on corrupt practices to receive aid over rivals. Travis' economic letter quantifies that a 1% increase in aid decreases corruption by 2%. Second, because it provides much needed capital for local businesses and increases consumption. Stats of Chicago writes that a 10% increase in aid increases GDP growth by 3.5%. For these reasons, Golden the World Bank quantifies that for every additional $1 billion of aid given, 300,000 people are permanently lifted out of poverty. Our second contention is ending pollution. Beckman at the University of Singapore writes that UNCLOS is the strongest environmental treaty in existence. Indeed, Groves explains that parties to UNCLOS must adopt anti-pollution regulations that ban any activity that can harm the ocean. Brilliant, the m4a provides an example, writing that if the U.S. joined, it would be forced to shut down all of its coal-fired plants. The U.S. would have no choice but to adhere to UNCLOS' stringent standards for two reasons. First, international lawsuits. The president of UNCLOS' main tribunal explains that tribunal takes an expansive view of UNCLOS' environmental standards because it wants to shape international law. SDFR adds that UNCLOS' tribunals are likely to be stacked against America. Even the U.S. met UNCLOS' standards defending against environmental lawsuits would be difficult. As is, Groves explains that Bangladesh, Egypt, and Nigeria have legitimate claims to sue America, and a coalition of island nations have tried but cannot due to our non-accession. Moreover, Burns and John Hopkins writes that rising sea levels are moving shorelines inward, profoundly impacting all coastal states' economies, giving almost any coastal state the right to sue. Countries would want to sue the United States because the Constitution has provisions that UNCLOS must be enforced as domestic law, that innumerable UNSS are internationally unique. Second, executive action. Voted in the New York Times explained in 2018, Republicans in Congress can fiscally block climate change legislation because they view it as democratic, regardless of what opinion. Acceding to UNCLOS would allow the next U.S. president to bypass its gridlock and implement reform. Hofstra explains that the president can directly alter regulations to comply with international treaty obligations and sue the United States to enforce compliance. Ultimately, Kogan II Hall writes UNCLOS would provide the future president with a legal and political justification to strengthen environmental regulations well beyond its normal executive power. The impact is reducing global warming. Because of changing climate patterns destroy the lives of farmers reliant on agriculture as a means of sustenance, global warming is imminently judgmental for the third world. For every degree average world temperatures increase, Gustin of Inside Climate News writes that annual crop yields will be reduced by 7.4%, and Berg of Stanford corroborates each will cost the developing world $60 trillion. That's for a fraction.
Is that right? Rita Gates, and our sole contention is destroying hard power. Acceding to the United Nations Convention on the Law of Sea or UNCLOS would subject all U.S. maritime actions to hundreds of regulations, bureaucratic oversight, and potential disputes destroying our naval strength. In the status quo, America relies on its naval strength to limit maritime conflict. Mohan of the ADP Institute in 2013 explains that Washington's political determination to maintain its supremacy in Asia, with a majority of carrier ships and submarines moving to the Pacific, a trend that is set to continue under the Trump administration. This strategy is key to preventing tensions from escalating into violence. FAM of the East Asia Forum in 2018 finds that this strong American naval presence has reassured our allies that they have American backing, driving a multilateral effort against Chinese expansion. Countries like the Philippines, France, England, and Vietnam have all joined the United States in putting pressure on China's militarization of the South China Sea. Hugh Bowe, the National Interest furthers in August that as a result of these developments, the South China Sea continent is largely frozen over and is unlikely to resurge. Given the U.S.'s powerful forces in the region, both sides have concluded that there is no choice but to establish a common and inclusive security order with ASEAN member states and other stakeholders. Both will continue their displays of power to save face, but China is unlikely to occupy new territory or threaten the use of military force to surrounding nations. Unfortunately, a number of UNCLOS provisions would significantly weaken the U.S. Navy, devastating this approach. For example, Hodges 14 of the Ocean Law Journal writes that under the convention, states do not have the legal authority to board a vessel suspected of weapons proliferation unless the vessel gives permission or the state has credible evidence of weapons on board. Even worse, Groves explains that under Article 19 of the convention, the U.S. would sign away its ability to collect intelligence vital for American security within the 12-mile territorial water zone of any other country, while U.S. submarines would be required to travel on the surface of the waters and show their flags, bringing covert operations to an end. David Ritter of the Center for National Policy Analysis furthers that Article 88's and 301's requirement to refrain from any threat or use of military force against the integrity of any state would unduly constrain U.S. defense operations writ large, such as naval exercises and freedom of navigation operations. On top of that, Radkin 07 of George Mason University writes that a section would put America's naval efforts entirely under the control of foreign judges, which would likely be unsympathetic to the United States, given that a clear majority of the International Tribunal's 21 judges are from states that are unfriendly to American naval action, including Russia, China, Cameroon, and Ghana. If history is any indication, these courts would follow in the footsteps of the International Court of Justice and rule against the United States to score points against perceived American influence. Once the decision is made, Groves points out that UNCLOS judgments are final and binding and enforceable under the full weight of the U.S. court system. And as such, the former Vice Chief of Naval Operations, Michael Wolin, concludes that just one adverse ruling would harm U.S. operational planning and activities, devastating our security. The impact of stopping China's advance is preserving economic stability. Glaser and the Council on Foreign Relations in 2012 explains that if the nations in the South China Sea lose confidence in the American Navy, they can compensate by embarking on costly and potentially destabilizing arms builds-up to protect themselves. These escalating tensions have the potential to destabilize international financial flows, spiking the prices of basic goods, and pushing millions into poverty. As Leon of Bloomberg 18 argues, the shipping of commodities remains concentrated on increasingly vulnerable trade routes that, when disrupted, become choke points in the global food supply, spiking prices and cutting off millions. This would be disastrous, as Crabs 360 of CNBC writes that $5 trillion worth of trade and 1.5 billion individuals' livelihoods depend on the economic activity in the South China Sea. And with geopolitical risk at an all-time high, it is no surprise why the World Bank in 2011 quantifies that just a single price spike in 2010 pushed 44 million people into poverty. Please engage.
Can I say evidence that says that moving closer to give the president the ability to change? You can try to ask us if you want.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so Henry Rogers.
Everyone's ready? Okay. Is the Navy, is the U.S. military in favor of UNCLOS?
So I know what you were going to say is that the Navy for like 2 decades has
No, the
supported this.
military as a whole. I didn't say the Navy. Is the military in favor
Well,
of UNCLOS?
we don't care about the military. We care about
Okay, so what I'm telling you is that the Navy is a very small subset of the U.S. military, right? Like hypothetically decreasing the power of the U.S. Navy, which is a very small subset of the U.S. influence as a whole, is not
So,
going
but
to
we
be
say that that small subset of the military that is the Navy is the crucial factor to ensure stability in the South China Sea.
Okay,
So you can say that it's a small portion, we say it has a bigger role in the
Wait, I have a question about this.
Can I ask?
Yeah, okay.
So, in your second contention, where you
Yeah.
talk about tribunals,
Yeah.
you do concede that tribunals are against the America.
I say that coastal states are against America.
But the
so
judges
when lawsuits do go through, like America's going to have to like follow
So
the
is the
environmental
tribunal
regulations.
specifically against the United States in terms of environmental suits, or is it just like any country they promote environmental like?
We're saying that countries who are being affected, countries who see America not following environmental regulations are going to sue America.
So what about other countries like China, for example, which is way worse than the United States in terms of environmentalism, and they are a part of UNCLOS?
Yeah, but
Have
they
you seen them
probably-
getting sued?
Have they been sued? Are you
Yeah.
asking?
Yeah.
They've been sued.
China has?
I'm pretty sure China has been sued. I don't know
No.
China. I
I don't think they've ever been sued in
But that's
terms of
not-
environmentalism. Otherwise, the climate change issue wouldn't be so bad right now.
Okay, but even if they were sued, like China would probably not follow it because it doesn't care.
So how can you enforce that the United United States?
Because the United States is completely different, right? Our Constitution requires that we follow international treaties. Also, the part of UNCLOS that is binding is actually the environmental regulations, which means America is going to follow. Also, America is like other countries look up to America as an example. They don't look up to China. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So the allies in the South China Sea is America, right? Are they allied with America only because of our naval power?
Yeah, the FAM evidence says that because of the American naval presence, we have reassured those countries in the South China Sea that they are not going to get
So
attacked.
the fact that we have soft power, the fact that we have the ability to do we have air force, we have land military that doesn't have to do with the Navy, there are not reasons why these people are allied with us. It's just the Navy,
Yeah, the FAM evidence specifically says that the Navy has reassured.
I'm just saying things logically, right? Not evidence. Why are other countries allied with America?
So the reason why these countries in the South China Sea, for example, are scared of Vietnam and the Philippines is because there is a conflict in the water. The only way to resolve the conflict in the water is with a part of the Navy that deals with that.
Okay, do you have a question?
Yeah. So in your impact of your first contention about development and royalties, is that contingent on a government being corrupt?
No.
The problems that you talked about, it's pretty logical to assume that if a government is corrupt, then people get put into poverty and then people die.
Countries can be in poverty without corruption.
Let's start with the first contention about destroying hard power. There's no contention. A couple responses. First, they tell you that there's going to be dispute mechanisms and this is going to hurt the U.S. military. But the IPP explains that the U.S. military is exempt from these UNCLOS regulations under Article 298. Article 298 in UNCLOS stipulates that for military reasons, you're basically exempt from the other provisions of UNCLOS. In fact, China literally cited Article 298 as to why they were able to move warships into the South China Sea without looking to a tribunal or any of these rulings. Moreover, you turn it, as Johnson the diplomat explains, that the U.S. Navy actually wants UNCLOS. Johnson explains that it gives the U.S. Navy legal backing for what they do, which increases their security. And Sandoval, the Brookings Institute, explains that the U.S. Navy has been looking to the freedom of navigation regulations for years, which is why Bauer, the CSIS, explains that every single branch of the U.S. military has supported UNCLOS for the past 20 years. But then, onto the specific word about the security guarantee. They tell you that these countries want the security guarantee. We would say that first of all, joining UNCLOS isn't going to compromise it. But secondly, the security guarantees is going to exist anyway. Countries get their security guarantee from bilateral treaties, bilateral defense treaties from the U.S. Joining UNCLOS is not going to affect these bilateral defense treaties. They're still going to be a fact, so it's not going to affect their security guarantee. But then, if anything, we turn it again, as UNCLOS gives a basis of negotiation. Right now, negotiations in the South China Sea are frozen because it's impossible for the U.S. to negotiate with China over these issues if they haven't acceded to the same international legal framework. What we would say is that if you accede to UNCLOS and you affirm, then that opens the door for diplomatic resolution, because right now under the status quo, there's no way for that to happen. We would say that if there's diplomatic resolution, you don't even need the military presence in the first place because you don't have to start a conflict. Then, onto the specific words about PSI, a couple responses. First, Solomon, the Journal of Ocean Development and International Law, explains that UNCLOS specifically doesn't interfere with PSI. PSI was literally established under UNCLOS and recruited countries inside UNCLOS to join PSI. It's completely compliant. Right now, literally every country in PSI outside of the United States is also a member of the UNCLOS. It's not interfered in any way. If anything, you turn it, because if we join UNCLOS and we're part of PSI, that makes more countries join PSI. They see that PSI and UNCLOS don't conflict, and they see that the U.S., the leader of PSI, is in UNCLOS, then they're more likely to join PSI because they see there's no conflict. But then they tell you this, but then they talk about phones. Some responses to phones. First, right? Neighboring countries literally don't want phones. The data that the East Asian Forum explains. A lot of countries in the South China Sea have literally told the United States to stop performing phone outs because they found that it was rocking the boat and increasing tension. But secondly, Dunn-Meeting explains that China has made a challengeable legal claim, which means that there's no effect to phone outs anyway. But then, onto the specific impact about destabilizing financial flows. A couple responses. First, even providing this entire link of this entire contention, what we would say is that they're only affecting a very small portion of the U.S. military. Literally, their entire case affects just submarines and intel gathering. We project power in so many ways in the South China Sea. We have hundreds of military bases in Japan. We have hundreds of military bases in the Philippines and Taiwan. We have thousands of troops. We have missile defense systems. What we would say is that exceeding the UNCLOS is not going to change that overnight. They need to show you that exceeding the UNCLOS pushes us over the brink of being able to intervene in the South China Sea, to not being able to intervene in the South China Sea, where they gain absolutely no impact whatsoever. But then, what we would also say is that the U.S. isn't even projecting their power through military needs in the 21st century. The U.S. has increasingly turned to sanctions, such as the sanctions they took on Russia, the sanctions we have on North Korea, and the sanctions that we had on Iran. That's because in the 21st century, military conflict is way more deadly, so countries don't want to engage in it. What we would say is that these economic sanctions are going to exist in both worlds, and that's the primary way that the U.S. is going to choose to intervene in China anyway. But then, on this specific impact on trade, recognize that the CSIS explains that trade hasn't gone down in the South China Sea, despite all these things they tell you. The reason why is because the IMF explains that 8% of China's GDP is their trade surplus, which means that China has an incentive to maintain trade, since their economy literally depends on it. So what we would say is that even if their entire case is true, the trade is never going to go down as it historically has not, due to Chinese incentive to keep it afloat. Thus, we urge you to affirm. Thank you.
Can I see that video was asked from you, and also that China Sea nations assholes and stuff on?
Okay, sure. Yes.
Okay, I'll come on. Starting off on our case with an overview. As an overview, recognize that the status quo is mitigating change of conflict. Indeed, Washington, the Institute for Southeast Asian Studies finds that the perception of the U.S. Navy that is safeguard against China has had a stabilizing effect, creating space for ASEAN nations to constructively engage with China. As a result, the South China Morning Post in 2018 finds that there has been unprecedented progress with a code for encounters at sea, Hong communications, and a code for encounters of naval exercises being established. Even better, King of the National Interest finds that even though China has significantly increased their military spending because of the American military presence, East Asian military spending is at a 25-year low. But even if you want to look at what China's doing, Jennings of the VOA this week finds that in response to American military pressure, backed by Japan, Australia, and India, China's actually toning down their military activity in the South China Sea. The status quo tactic of our naval hard power is working. You shouldn't do anything to reject that, which is really important. Because let's talk about a couple of the responses that they put on our case. First, they tell you through Article 98, we can opt out of being sued through lawsuits, and our Navy won't be affected. The problem is that Article 98, like they say, is an optional way to get out of lawsuits. That is a reservation in the resolution. So as a scheme to us, without reservations, we wouldn't be able to get to use Article 298 if you affirm. Then they tell you that the Navy likes to UNCLOS. That's because the Navy assumes we can accede to UNCLOS with Article 298 like every other country. The initial evidence in our case says that if we can't accede to UNCLOS, and he's a military leader, he says that would be really bad for our security. Then they tell you we still have deterrence anyways, and the Navy's not that big of a deal. The problem is in the South China Sea, where all of our impacts are, and when this debate should be about, our Navy's the foundation of deterrence, because all the action is happening in the water, like Chinese militarization and warships. Then they tell you that South China Sea nations want us to stop freedom navigation operations. That evidence says that they could want us to stop. Our analysis from Wiseman, Peng, and Pham says that in the real world, they're actually supported by it. Then he tells you that China would never cut off trade on purpose. The problem is that they wouldn't do it on purpose, but if every South China Sea nation is militarizing because our Navy is no longer protecting them, then that's when insurance rates spike and trade shocks happen. That's what will happen if you vote broke. Now let's go to the first convention, but development. They tell you that drilling will lead to royalty. The problem is that this is super insignificant. Royalty rate is 7%, but the U.S. Geological Survey finds there's only $1 trillion in resources in the United States extended continental shelf to begin with. Meaning that even if we drilled the entire extended continental shelf, we'd only be getting $70 billion over 50 years, or just $2 billion a day per year. And that has two implications. A, that's less than 1% of the entire American foreign aid budget. And second, we outweigh these economic instability impacts $5 trillion in trade annually. Even a fraction of a percent of this is quantitatively a larger link to food and resource access. We also outweigh because trade flows give goods directly to the people, while aid requires the government to cycle much of it first. But second, and more importantly, there's no enforcement mechanism on collective royalties. They can't give you a single example of a country that has paid royalties after they're seen to because it's just not a mechanism that's actually followed through with in the real world. Then on their second contention about pollution, on their first one about lawsuits, the link on this argument is super shady. Because first, this hasn't happened in any other country, which is, despite the fact there's 170 other countries that are part of UNCLOS. But second, most of the countries that are on the tribunal rely on dirty energy. They would never rule against it in the United States, because that would mean that tomorrow it might be ruled against them. Then on the ones about executive action, A, this is relying on lawsuits, which I already responded to, but B, their evidence has nothing to do with UNCLOS, it's just international law in general, meaning it's super non-unique. On their impact, recognize that green technology will only happen organically in the long term. If you immediately force us to shift away from coal overnight, that means that either A, companies will offshore, or B, they'll shift to natural gas, which is, we'd say, way worse for the environment. This is a quick, not a long-term solution like green energy. The second one, we went to a 4th announcement in 2018. Due to geopolitical instability, the next spike in the global price of oil is likely to begin in South China Sea because of restriction in trade and speculation will push it to global highs, which is really important because when global oil prices are high, A, this drives governments away from environmentalism, and B, it leads to more oil drilling all over the world, which we say is really bad for the environment. There's the cost. Yes. Okay, so when oil prices spike and energy is really hard to get, then when that happens, then countries are not going to try to shift to environmental.
Wait, but that makes sense though, because if oil prices, one of the reasons why we're turning to green tech now is because oil prices are getting higher. So if oil prices spike, wouldn't more prices?
Yeah, the problem is that in an oil, the argument is that if oil spikes happen globally, that every time there's been an oil spike globally, that's led to a recession. And in these recessions, governments never shift to environmentalism because that's much more costly than if they just use current energy relying on status.
So what do they do?
In a recession?
Like, what do they do when oil prices spike? Well, how do they meet their energy needs?
They just do things like natural gas or other quick fixes.
Okay.
Definitely not green energy.
Question?
Yeah, I do have a question. How is Article 298 not a reservation?
Because a reservation is defined as something you see from a treaty, and you say, like, we don't accept this part of it, so you mark it as a reservation, and you see without adhering to that part of the treaty. This is by definition what a reservation is.
So what does Article 301 say?
I don't know.
It says that the only reservations you can make are the ones that are already part of the treaty. They can only use certain articles that obviate other things. They said we're doing it with the reservation of Article 298.
So you're pretty much in other ways, right? Because a reservation is when you take an article of a treaty and you exempt it. What you were talking about is an exemption, which is part of a treaty, right?
UNCLOS literally defines exemptions and reservations as the same thing. Like a section of UNCLOS is exemptions/reservations.
This whole response doesn't really make a lot of sense, right?
Okay, so then why is it that when countries
is in the treaty? This is not something that people are marking out and saying we don't want to.
So why is it, if Article 298 is not a reservation, why did France and Equatorial Guinea accede and call Article 298 a reservation?
What? If they called it a reservation, then they were saying that they weren't going to exceed.
No, they said we're doing it with the reservation of Article 298.
I see that part.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So questions? Yeah, sure. So let's talk about this response you made to our first opinion, right? Where you say that there's no enforcement. So in your work, why is enforcement specifically unique to this? And that why is there going to be enforcement on the South?
But it's not enforcement as in domestic enforcement. It's enforcement from the ISA, which collects royalties.
Don't you say that these rulings can be applied?
It's not a tribunal ruling. Like, military rulings are different than the ISA collecting royalties. Like, there's no mechanism in which they collect royalties. Like, that hasn't been established. That's why none of the 170 countries that are in UNCLOS have been paying the ISA.
Drilled in the ECS.
No. Literally so many countries do
None
it
of
in
the
the
ECS would specifically trigger royalties. That's literally what
That's definitely not
true.
true. That's 100% like.
But okay, so this is right, let me just set it up, sorry. The Tariff 15 tells you that none of the countries had drilled in the ECS before, because that royalties are going to be triggered.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
Okay, sure. Also, you just heard this as like our committee's reservation.
Alright, I got it. proud of that.
Overview, their case, and our case. Okay. She does not respond to the overview that the news reads, which comes from Wiseman that says that the effective hard power approach in the status quo in the South China Sea has led to more diplomacy using a code of conduct, hotline communications, and China's decreased tension on the pole. That's why the Peng evidence says that military spending and other regional actors has led to a 25-year low, and the Jennings evidence says that China has toned down their military drills and they're decreasing tensions. Here's where this is really key, because the wall of term which we read on their second tension says that the next global recession is going to happen due to oil in the South China Sea. So China is able to control that region and increase oil prices. That leads to two negative impacts. First of all, means this is going to be a huge recession, and when countries go into recession, they turn away from green energy and go to the dirty fossil fuels because it's a much more cheaper alternative. The second thing is that if global oil prices are going to go up, the only way to compensate for that increase in price is due to more drilling, which means that their scenario of climate change is only going to get worse. But then, on to their case, she concedes the fact that there are $2 billion worth of royalties going there, and that's bad, and this is like really damning for them. It's only less than 1% of the foreign budget. Moreover, they don't respond to the fact that we just simply outweigh because we impacted $5 trillion, they only impacted $2 billion. And also remember is that the trade that goes to the South China Sea goes directly to the people without having to go through without risking the fact that it has to go to a government and then to the people. Then, more specifically on our first contention about hard power, the only thing that she extends is that Article 298 is an exemption, not a reservation. But you can look at Article 301, which Anush brought up in the cross-references, that they define an exemption as a reservation as literally the same thing. In fact, at the end of the evidence, it said that Equatorial Guinea acceded to UNCLOS with the reservation of Article 298. This is really critical, because if you affirm the resolution without reservation, you can put on future rules, and the back end evidence says that the majority of those judges are against the United States naval action, and the Highland evidence says which is one of those rules would definitely harm U.S. security planning. Here's why this is critical, and that's our impact about economic stability. We say that if you do not have a navy, other countries will increase military spending, that increases tensions, and increases the probability of a price spike, which means that $5 trillion worth of trade are going to be harmed, and 1 billion people's lives are going to be at risk. Yeah.
So are you basically saying that one tribunal ruling is going to basically demolish?
I'm not saying that. We're not saying just one. We're saying just one could do that, but there's going to be way more than one.
Okay, who is the strongest military right now?
The U.S.
The United States. So the Navy, a small subset of America's large military, is going to affect the entire military because of one
You
ruling.
guys have made this response a lot, but you're ignoring the fact that our case is dependent on our Navy in the South
It's
China
like the
Sea.
same thing that I brought up in the first talk, right? Even though the Navy is one subset of the general huge military that the United States has, our argument is that if that one subset is harmed, the South China Sea.
So in the South China Sea, all the action is taking place in like the water, the sea. Like China militarizing a bunch of islands, they're they're sailing bombers in the islands.
Yeah, they're doing like jammers and
I have a question about this. So are you basically saying that the naval power is the only way that
Yes.
we're exerting?
The naval
so
power-
we're not using sanctions, we're not using
Okay, so
we're
here's
not
a
using
question
negotiation,
about sanctions
like
then.
we're not using all of these
So
other
can I ask you-
areas of influence, just the U.S. Navy.
Yes, the Navy is what's
Okay,
important.
do you have a
Because that's the foundation. Yeah, I'll answer your question. Our Navy is the foundation for everything else we do. Because of our Navy, that's why we're able to have soft power and work with other countries because they have confidence in us. Because of our Navy, we're able to follow through with sanctions, and that's how we enforce them.
Like recognize that we are the strongest military. A small increase, a
Okay,
small
it's
increase
going
in
against
our.
the
message.
Wait, can I say
No,
something?
you said this.
so.
Yeah, you said this like every single speech. We
Okay,
literally say big
so if
military.
we're just going to increase our military power by a little bit, this is not
No,
going to do
okay,
much for us.
we-
Like,
yeah,
even
we're
if
going
we
in
increase the
circles.
amount of naval
We're going-
power,
we're going
this is
in
going to force us to
Okay,
turn
I'm
to
just gonna ask you a
defense.
question.
We're not asking a question.
Okay, so you guys keep saying that Article 298 is not a reservation because it's part of the treaty.
No, so this is what we're saying, right? It's an exemption. Because a reservation means you're choosing not to follow a
So
part
can
of
you
the
give me an
treaty.
example of a
But-
reservation?
Just like the card that you're reading, right? A reservation is you say like we don't like articles 1 through 50, so we're not going to follow them.
Yeah.
That's what a reservation. Your card does not
No, no,
actually
no.
say that they include articles.
Yeah. So what Article 298 allows countries to do is say, because of Article 298, we're not going to follow treaties 1 through 3 about our Navy.
Yes.
Like that's what Article 298
No,
is.
not they don't say because of article 298. You don't have to cite a reason.
That's- you can
You
call
just
for
say
that.
you don't want.
Your
Yeah, you
evidence,
can call for that.
please, your evidence basically saying that it doesn't say Article 298
observing from a
It's
subsection.
not the same thing. Like saying that Article 298 in and of itself is a reservation is completely different.
Well, I mean, it is. They literally call it a reservation. I mean, that's gonna be like a bad.
Yeah, we have like 10 seconds left, so we can just wait.
Alright, is that time? Everybody ready? Read their case and our case in the point. On their case, two responses to the document are really damning to their case. First, we give the U.S. military only partially accurate, right? But they're also losing the Article 298 debate because you can call up the card. What the card says is that they opted, right? But they put a reservation on a specific part about 298. You don't have to cite a part of a treaty to like put a reservation, right? You can just declare a reservation for any reason you want. If it's in the treaty, then it's not a reservation, and Article 298 is part of the treaty, and insofar as that's true, they're pretty much not accessing their entire impact. But then, moreover, the other response they drop, that even if you give them their entire case, we would say that they're also dropping the diplomacy response. What they think is that in the status quo, the U.S. needs naval power. But what we tell you is that the U.S. doesn't need this naval power. But the only reason why we need the naval power right now is because there's no avenue of diplomacy for the U.S. to open, because we haven't acceded to the same treaty. That's a really important response that completely dropped. Because once we see, even if we lose the naval power, we gain access to the diplomatic channels, and what we tell you is that the U.S. is using the diplomatic channels anyway, the naval power isn't going to do anything. But then specifically in our case, they pretty much concede in our entire case, it's just read only limited control responses. They think that it's only going to be $2 billion a year. Fine. Even if it's only $2 billion a year, you can extend the rotation that a $1 billion increase in aid leads to 300,000 people being listed on poverty. What's really important is that they estimate that this is over the next 50 years. So for the next 50 years, every single year, there's 600,000 people being listed on poverty. You can affirm right there. But then, what we also say is we also extend because we tell you that this increase in aid decreases corruption. That's also something that they never respond to. But then, let's go to when. First on scope. You can easily go first on scope today because we impact the entire developing world. They only impact a specific part of the South China Sea, but we would say that we're impacting to way more people. But the second thing is on magnitude. We hear that people are being lifted out of poverty. They hear that there's just one-time trade shock. We would say that once the trade shock goes away, it doesn't matter anymore. But then on time frame, their impact is like a one-off impact, right? Because it can one recession happen and then that's it. What we would say is that our impact is way more long-term because poverty is a generational cycle, right? Like if you're poor today, your children were likely to be poor, their children were likely to be poor. What we tell you is that this aid lifts people out of poverty, embrace the cycle. We mean that we're accessing a long-term impact, and we also tell you that this is over 50 years. For the next 50 years, we tell you that 600,000 people are being lifted out of poverty. Thus, we urge you to affirm. Thank you.
Let's start from hard power. They only extend two responses. First, to tell you that diplomacy is not working right now. That's just not true. We tell you that hard power is the only way to enforce diplomacy, which is why the widespread paying and statutory evidence, all which they concede say because of U.S. Navy negotiations are working, China's increasing their aggression, and military spending is at a 25-year low. This is all only last year, which is really important because this was conceded by them. What's going to be really important is that the only way you reverse this progress is by getting rid of U.S. naval strength, and we tell you that happens because of tribunals. Their only response here that they keep extending is the fact that Article 298 will get out of any problems for our military, and because it's part of the treaty, it's not a reservation. There's three responses that we make that we don't cover. First is that because of Article 301, what that tells you is that the only reservations you can make are the ones that are in the treaty. Article 298 is literally a no reservation. For the second response, and you can call for this, is the fact that Equatorial Guinea literally said they're making reservations through Article 298. But third, it's literally an optional way to get out of certain articles. That is the definition of a reservation. This response falls, which is really important, because that means when we accede without reservations, we cannot have naval strength. The McMullen evidence tells you just one ruling could destroy all our naval strength, which is really important. We tell you that is the foundation for security in the South China Sea. The three pieces of evidence at the beginning of the case that they don't respond to, which is really important. This outweighs all their impacts because of the walled evidence. They concede it throughout Iran. That tells you that tensions in the South China Sea will lead to a global oil spike, which means A, recession, which turns countries away from environmentalism, and B, oil will happen all over the world because it's way more profitable, which outweighs everything they tell you because climate change kills billions of people and also it affects the entire world and not just a couple countries. But then, on the point of aid, we do concede that it's only $2 billion. The problem is, A, that's less than 1% of our aid, and B, we have the same impact of poverty through aid, but we have $5 trillion to 1.5 billion people, and it goes directly to people instead of $2 billion that goes to the government, and they hope it goes to the people. We have that case, and that definitely outweighs theirs.
Article
reveal something else that says that it's not a reservation.
Well, that's one mistake.
You just read their, you read their part, right?
Yeah, I just don't want to.
That's the equatorial Guinea. Zoo. I'll take another pen.
In Article 301,
Oh, sorry. There's a 301.
I have a call, and so I do end up giving you guys your royalties argument. I think you guys win that. Like, they can see that you get money at the end of the day, and I think you do a good job of like saying that. That's a lot of people down poverty. And which I think that you do kind of drop the wing mechanism that they unique in the bottom and some of my focus, but how like they, as long as they're preserving $5 trillion, then they're doing a better way. But they want they're providing more money to the people. For two, they're providing more direct way to get food to people because you're literally just better in the economy. People are making more money. So I definitely ask them to their place first about how the economy is doing. I do give them their overview about climate change too. I think that's pretty easy to talk about because you guys don't really address it. So at that point, they're saving lives. On the Article 298 thing, honestly, it's probably a bigger deal than it needed to be, but I have the evidence. They were good for it. They just said that like Article 298 is what you refer to when you make a reservation, and then everyone else says you can't make any reservations that articles will permit within the treaty. So they were right about that. So I guess like at the end of the day, we can give them maybe. You talk about diplomacy, and that's the second piece of defense you're bringing up, and you're saying that diplomacy is the better way to access diplomatic channels and to solve negotiations. I do think they respond to that by saying that like hard power is the only way that these negotiations work effectively when the U.S. has like a naval backing there. When it comes to the U.S. military and how strong we are, I think you kind of missed the point of their argument where they're saying that like, because this is like the South China Sea and because the war is like the conflict is in the water, you can't have like just like ground troops. It doesn't help anyone. You kind of need things in the ocean. So after that, I grant them the $5 trillion in trade, and that outweighs